You're listening to the Tumbling Saber Podcast, a member of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. Check us out on the web at starwarscommonwealth.com, on iTunes, Facebook, and Twitter, and take your first step into a larger world. Hey folks, welcome back. It's episode 87 of the Tumbling Saber Podcast. My name is Kyle.
I'm Corey.
And I'm James.
Here we go again, guys. Another weekend in the books. How we all doing?
I'm doing awesome, man. I pretty much took all week off last week, and that was great. It was like pretty much one of the best weeks we had in the summer until the week came to a close. The weekend's been quite horrible, actually. But yeah, all week. Temperatures upwards of 30, so it was boating every day from like 11 a.m. till like 5 p.m. Barbecues, fires at night. It's awesome, man. Awesome.
Corey, I gotta say, it sounds like you were in the shower right now.
Well, my wife's actually probably in the bath upstairs.
I was gonna say, I thought
coming
maybe
in
you were
loud and clear. It actually sounds like you're in the bathroom.
tub.
Sounds like I'm in the bathroom?
In the bathtub.
I can totally hear the bathtub.
Yeah, it's possible. The basement's unfinished, so the drains are like right above. The pipes are like right above my head. But the garden too. My garden, holy smokes, man! It's doing great. It's producing.
Yeah, we're having a prolific blueberry year. It's a crazy blueberry year. All that rain. Now that the sun's been out, it's crazy. We're picking pounds.
Nice. Hook a brother up.
That's amazing.
Yeah, man.
Antioxidants.
Good for your brain.
James, good weekend?
Yeah, good weekend. We've been we're both teachers, right? So we've been off for a while now. Coming into the home stretch, just warming up to our vacation, Corey. 4 weeks in. I for some reason I'm not one of these teachers. Like there's two types of teachers. The type who like they don't talk about the fact that they have the summer off because like it ruffles feathers and people get jealous. Or me, who's like, meh, suckers, your life is not as good as mine. I'm off all summer. But that's definitely my approach. And we've been enjoying it, man, even though the weather's been crap. Like, when you're off 7 days a week, there's always at least 1 or 2 days off that are nice. So we don't, the weekends being rainy haven't really affected us too much.
And it gives you time to catch up on some other stuff, too.
Yeah, I like the rain. Like Corey just said, we've all thrown our green thumbs into the gardening game, so we don't begrudge a little rain. And honestly, like I'll take sort of rainy and cooler over blistering hot, which we've had a few days of already. Any day for activities for the kids, for doing stuff outside, for working in the garden, for working in the yard, as long as it's not pouring. I don't like the sweltering hot days that much anyway.
Yeah, I mean, selfishly, the sweltering heat allows me to use my pool.
Fair.
But I'm being very selfish with that.
Yeah, and the
Otherwise,
boat. Me too. With the
I'll
boat.
take this cooler weather.
Yeah, it's perfect for the boat. Like this week, man. Like I had such a great time. The water was like crystal clear. The water was literally 81 degrees, and it felt warmer than that. So I mean, we just chilled this whole time, like pretty much right on the beach, right by the beach.
Very cool.
Yeah, it was, man.
All right, so let's speed things along. We'll move into the Star Wars news. Actually, before we do that, a little bit of a melancholy announcement. All right, a lot of a melancholy announcement to kick off the show. James, bring the people up to speed.
Yeah, well, melancholy might be a strong word, but at least for the short term, I'm gonna be taking a big step away from the shows, and I say that with heavy heart. I really do love doing this with you guys, but timing wise, with the 3 young kids and back to school and my wife coming off maternity and blah 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 blah, boring life getting in the way of Star Wars fun. Yeah, I got to take at least a very big step back and remove myself from playing with you guys for a little bit. I'm taking my toys and I'm going home until until Halloween anyway, and then I'll have to do a reevaluation at that point. But the dynamic of the show will definitely have to change for the next little bit, which is really too bad. I'm sorry to say that.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a huge shift for the Tumbling Saber team here. There's no way to put it. The other way to put it, you will be sorely missed on the show.
Yeah, so true, James. It's like I was telling you earlier, like it's going to be a little more difficult now for me to bust Kyle's balls.
Ha! Yeah, no, I like playing middleman for you two bozos.
Yeah,
we talked about this off the air, last couple of days, or yesterday, anyways. And I've been mulling it over for a few days, and so I've been moping around the house like a kid who lost his favorite toy. But it's the only sort of way. There's just not enough hours in the day, and I do know you guys get that, but it doesn't make it any easier or more fun to do.
No, there's no easy way to do it. You just let's face it. I mean, it's a podcast, it's a hobby. And it's a time-consuming one. It saps energy, and it takes us, whenever we record, it's late into the hours. We burn the midnight oil here, and it has a domino effect into the next day, and then it can, for me, it derails my week as far as my energy levels go through the week and sleeping. Don't get me wrong, I love it, but I know exactly where you're coming from. But we've talked about it. The door is open, and we know you'll be part of the show in other ways, in other smaller ways going forward.
Oh yeah, you won't get rid of me all at once, and who knows? Maybe if I get, I laugh at the idea. I almost said if I find myself with some free time, and that just never happens. But maybe I'll jump on a show, in a month from now or something. If you guys are looking for content, I'm not saying that this is it and I'm never coming back. But I just definitely have to remanage my time, and the podcast's going to take a hit. My podcasting time is going to take a hit, I should say.
No, the podcast will take a hit. There's no doubt about that.
James, be honest with me. Was it my new executive producing responsibilities over at Sith Disturbers? Was I putting too much on you, James, with editing?
It was the last time you called me Jimmy. I was like, that's it.
I told you to stop that, Corey.
Whatever. You heard what he said.
I'm out of here.
You heard what he said about the last letter of the alphabet. I'm not even going to say it.
Oh man! All right, but James, nothing but love, man. We got to thank you so much for the countless hours and countless amounts of energy you've dumped into the show. You're an irreplaceable part of the DNA of this podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Wholeheartedly agree, man.
It's a fun team, man. I'm part of a fun team, so that made it really, really hard to come to this decision for sure.
But like I said, we will definitely be in touch. You'll still follow the page. You'll still, hopefully you'll still listen to us, for God's sakes, during commutes and such.
Of course.
And we'll definitely hear from you, whether you send in questions or comments or whatever. You have your own platform to. Open door policy to do what you want.
Yeah, take up some writing, hint, hint.
The idea was to recoup time, Corey.
Yeah, but at least that way, it can look like he's doing something like correcting papers or something.
That's true. That's easy to hide at work. That's good point, Corey.
There's Corey looking to shirk responsibility again.
He found a loophole in my teaching system.
All right. Enough of that. Let's move ahead to some Star Wars news. So I put aside a couple of small items that I did not put in the official show notes because it's frankly not that important. But the first thing I have here, these Star Wars Stellar Signature cards. Now I think all of us here at some point in our lives collected, whether it's hockey cards or baseball cards. Collecting Star Wars cards is something that I never really got big into. Although I want to, but now they've got Topps is coming out with this set called Star Wars Stellar Signature. These things are ridiculous.
Isn't it like 40 signatures per box or something?
Right. So it's a box of cards, and you'll get 40 signature cards in that box, guaranteed. And these cards are all numbered, and they'll be something like. One of 50 or one of 20, all the way down, like one of 10, one of 5. all the way down to like 1 of 1, which is amazing. But you ready for the cost on these things?
I was just going to say, how much?
No, I haven't heard, but yeah, when you say the 1 of 1 and 1 of 10, I'm thinking more like 1 in 1,000 kind of, but.
Oh, no. So they're doing 100 of these boxes. So these aren't going to be available anywhere to whoever wants one.
Ooh.
100 of these boxes. So what do you think the price is going to be on these?
God, I'd have to say realistically like 5 Gs at least.
I was going to say 10.
I want to say 10 too, but that just seems like a number that won't attract people. I was going to say it's going to be up like open auction. But this is something if I had the capital, I would definitely invest in one of these if you can get your hands on one, which I highly doubt is going to happen. Like, these things are going to go like hotcakes. So you have to know someone almost to get one of these, I would think, at this point. But that's an investment.
Well, James, you know somebody that can get pretty much anything, right?
I'll find out.
This kind of sounds scummy on my part, but this is something that you can buy and save and not open, and who knows what you got. You know what I mean? And the value on that would just possibly be exponential.
Anyway, so you want to know the actual value of these?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you already know because James said it. $10,000.
Jesus.
Wow.
10,000 big ones, guys.
Let's do it, guys.
But I mean, they got some big names. Daisy Ridley is signed. Gwendolyn Christie, Jen Urso, Felicity Jones, Ian McDermott, Ray Park, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Kenny Baker, Ashley Eckstein, Carrie Fisher managed to sign some. Billy D. Williams. There's some big names. No, I don't know. They said more autographs are yet to come. So maybe Harrison Ford and Mark Hamill have signed. They're just not advertising it yet. But man, oh man. What a thing this is.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's kind of cool, though. I mean, hats off, whatever. It'd be nice
if
to
you've got
make
the money. I mean, that would be amazing if you've got the dough.
It's true.
Well, even just like collecting regular cards, because you could find like original art, like Anil over at Gen X-Wing. He's done a couple hundred sketch cards for that get inserted into these packs, and the packs for those are not cheap either. Like, it costs you a pretty penny to get.
Are you sure about a couple hundred?
He's done a lot.
I know he's done a lot.
I don't know the exact number, but he's done a lot. And I would just die to find not only his, but anybody's original art. But alas, I do not have the funds to keep buying these things.
Yeah, I never got back into cards. I mean, comics, toys, oy vey.
Yeah, it's a bit much. Next thing, Clint Howard is going to be, or it looks like he's going to be in the Han Solo movie.
Oh, he's in. He's in.
Well, that is something we speculated about as soon as we learned that Ron Howard was taken over. We said, well, now Clint Howard's going to get some steady work, which he doesn't really need. He's got like 200 plus acting credits to his resume, so it's not like he was hurting for work, but it's just a thing that Ron Howard does, right? He puts his brother in his movies. I think 16 times.
Yeah, he's like anyway. The Stan Lee of Ron Howard films.
Kind of, yeah.
But he's such a good character actor. Like, he's got such a quirky.
He's unique.
Yeah.
Special.
I guess that's more what I meant. You can put him in and he can play that, like, that off-beat, sort of off-the-wall, usually a little bit creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just find him, like, it's not like he's plugging in, like, generic, unskilled. Like, the guy's decent and he's, I don't know. I could plug him into my movies is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy's good. The guy can certainly act. He's gonna be right at home in a Star Wars scene where there's just a lot of creatures and beings. That's all. That's what I'll say.
Does this make sense? Does this make sense? Just on a sidebar here, did he ever play a Ferengi in Star Trek?
Yes.
Okay, because yeah, very conducive. But I literally not 30 minutes ago had a conversation with Matt Keegan on Facebook in the TSW VIP, and I kind of, like, they were talking about it. Like, he was asking who'd you like, what character would you like to see? And then, you know, a lot of people said he was like Hondo, Ventress, whatever. And then I was like, Clint Howard for Hondo in the Han Solo film. Just a quick cameo, you know what I mean?
I would die. And
Seriously,
I would die very happy.
Oh my god, that would be like, it seems so perfect to me, to be honest. Like, it'd just be like the perfect, like, I'm Hondo Ohnaka. Like, just the perfect little tidbit cameo that could be super funny.
Yeah. I don't know if that's just too much on the nose, or if that's like, yeah, no, that's perfectly appropriate. I don't know where that line is. I mean, if you're going to put a Hondo cameo, that feels like, geez, give us a bit more than that.
It's the preemptive strike. It's giving a little taste, getting a little Lucasfilm putting their foot in the water, you know, testing the waters.
Because then you know, if you got to bring him back in that case.
He's gonna be as hot as porgs.
In a soup?
Porg soup.
Oh god. Okay, so anyway, that was sort of the writing on the wall the minute Ron Howard took the reins, and it's more or less confirmed. We won't be disappointed, said Ron Howard.
And I like the way he says that, because that's kind of poignant in a way. Like, you won't be disappointed. Not only in the sense that, yeah, he's going to be in the film, but I got something special planned for him, I would think. And just quickly before we move on, like, dude, like, Ron Howard, man, like, I love it. I don't know if it's the studio heads that are pushing him now to be more interactive, but he seems very comfortable in this film. Like, he's having fun. I don't want to think that it's damage control and a show, but I love what he's been doing thus far. Like, we've seen so much more in the short time that he's been at the helm than we did with all of Lord and Miller's time.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't criticize Lord and Miller for you know, not being. I mean, it's not like they didn't share anything, but they weren't as consistent as Ron Howard has been. That's for sure.
I like that.
Yeah, whether it is damage control, if it's PR, or if it's just genuine from the heart of Ron Howard, don't know, don't care. It's making me feel all warm and fuzzy about the production now. All right, so let's move ahead here. So yesterday, Stephen Melching, who is, I guess, well, he's one of the writers on Rebels, and he wrote for Clone Wars and Transformers Prime, amongst other things. He did something which, on the surface, is not that big a deal, but Star Wars fans, being who they are and what they are, went crazy. And they took one of his tweets, which was a picture of Rex in his Season 4 from Rebels commando gear, and he put that next to a picture of the Rebel commando from Endor that we all assume is actually Rex. And he said, this is happening. Now, people, I guess you can't really blame fans for reading all the way into it and saying, it's confirmed. Stephen Melching's a writer on the show. He's just confirmed that Rex is in Return of the Jedi. And then he disappeared for a couple hours and came back and found that Twitter had imploded. So he had to clarify. And I don't know if he had a few texts waiting from the powers that be, saying, dude, walk this back and delete that tweet. Or if he just said, whoa, guys, you've taken this too far. But anyway, he just said, friends, please allow me to clarify my provocative and badly worded tweet from earlier today. When Rex was redesigned for his appearance in Season 2 of Rebels, many people saw a similarity to Nick Sant. That's the character from Endor in Return of the Jedi. I didn't notice the resemblance until fans pointed it out after the release of Season 2 trailer. Many on the crew found the resemblance amusing too, but as far as I know, it was not an intentional design choice. In each season, most character models change, As the Ghost crew grows closer to the larger rebellion, their costumes often reflect that. Rex is clearly wearing some costume pieces that resemble the rebel commandos from Return of the Jedi. As a soldier, this makes sense. So are Rex and Nick Sant one and the same? Truthfully, I do not know the answer. I wish I had made that clear originally. I didn't want to, but I deleted my tweet, which was continuing to perpetuate a misunderstanding despite my efforts to clarify. And he goes on, but he says at the end of the day, he says, I cannot and will not confirm anything. Thanks, and may the Force be with you. So there you go. For one hot minute, we thought Rex was confirmed, and now not. And I think this is the end of it. I don't think we're ever going to get confirmation that that character is Rex. I don't think it's... If you want to think it's Rex, fine, but by no means is that ever going to be made official.
Yeah. It's odd. But his first tweet, like, something seems a little fishy about all that, you know? Oh, I sent this really provocative tweet and then turned my phone off for a few hours. Like, no. It seems like he was fishing, almost. Like, I don't know. Like, it almost seems either he was doing damage control afterward, or they were looking to see how fandom would react. Because this is how...
I think they know how fandom would react.
Oh, there was all kinds of stupid responses, like... Don't even get me started on that. But...
Why not?
Oh, dude. But either way, this is happening. Seems like pretty much confirmation to me. Like, it's not a subtle tweet. It's like blatant in-your-face tweet. And you know it's going to stir the pot. Why would you shut your phone off after? Like, are you that nonchalant about your Star Warsing?
You know, the longer I live, the more I realize that when something's crazy is going on social media, often the explanation is drunk. And I really think that happens way more often than you think. Like, someone puts something out there and you're like, wow, that's amazing they put that out there. And then all of a sudden you see them walking it back hours later or the next day, or it's gone. And I'm telling you, man, a lot of people drunk tweet. Stay off your social media when you're drunk, people.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, James, if this is to be your last show, that might be the wisest thing you've ever said.
I think I've done you guys once or twice in the sense where I was just like, I love you guys. At like 1 a.m.
No, you've had some slurry times on these shows. A couple of people have said, is Corey drunk?
Yeah, well, I have been drunk.
That's not true, Kyle. But a couple people have said once or twice, is Corey not drunk?
That's
Was
true.
Corey sober that
That's
time?
more unusual.
It is.
Back in the day, it was tough, man. It was tough back in the day, but now, you know, I'm all trained up.
Yep. You got all coached up, huh?
Well, it's more training on my end, really.
So, Corey, you're sticking with it? That for you, that's still Rex?
No, not necessarily. I think it's kind of either way. I don't really care. I think it's kind of almost a discredit to the character in a way, just in the sense that he's kind of brushed off so lightly.
Exactly.
When I see Rex, it's like I would see him pretty much standing beside General Madine, coming up with the plan. He'd be really revered, I would think, at this point amongst, you know, his peers and everything. They would, if he's leading the he would be the guy leading the ground assault. You know, like, okay, like General Solo would be there too, I guess. I don't know, but the politics behind that, he just deserves a little more. But at the same time, it would be nice to have some kind of, to know that he lived, you know? Because I absolutely love the character.
You said it. This is Captain Rex. This is a character who's been a pretty major player for, you know, almost a decade now. And to just, you know, have him to say that's that character in that scene where you just see him for 2 seconds, nah, that's not doing the character right. There's no need to do that.
Unless they can retcon it now in the sense where they write stories of Captain Rex's expanded adventures or whatever, you know?
I guess they could, and they probably should. I mean, Again, this is a character. Well, you know what? Season 4 is around the corner, so we all assumed, if that, we took Dave Filoni's original tweet, his playful tweet at the time, or his comment at a con, to say, fine, that's Rex, sure, go ahead. And so a lot of people made that Rex, but it's not. I think we have to be pretty guarded about that. I think that the book is still open for Rex. Who knows what's going to happen? All right, now I guess we can get into some juicier stuff. And the big thing that happened last week, another almost rocking the boat moment where Jack Thorne was brought in. I think this came out on Wednesday night. Jack Thorne brought in to write episode 9. And you go, wait, what? I thought Colin Trevorrow and Derek Connolly are writing episode 9. What is going on here? I think that was maybe the initial reaction. What were your guys' first thoughts when you saw this?
Well, I kind of have a quick question here. Like, is it a complete rewrite? Because I'm not under the impression that it's a rewrite. I'm kind of under the impression that it's, he's helping them out.
There's no context given to the capacity of which he's writing. So I don't think it's a total rewrite. I tend to agree with you. But what was your first reaction? Saying, "Oh no, not again," or
yeah, that was mine a little bit, not full fledged, but I was like, "Wow, man, this is interesting that there's so much going on." But like you said, there's no context. It may not be a total rewrite. I don't think it's time to hit the panic button for anybody, but I did have that gut reaction a little bit.
Yeah, so did I. I was like, "Oh no, please!" That was the headline, right? The Twitter headline. Oh Jesus, what's going on here? Then you read the story and you get very little info. My impression is that it's pretty standard stuff. There's a revision or a draft of the script, and he's going to comb through it and he's going to polish it up. That's the way I'm looking at it. And until we learn that, you know what, he took their script and put it in the trash. That's what I'm going with, and I think it's a good thing because anybody or anytime you can get Derek Connolly, the guy who wrote Monster Trucks, a little bit further away from episode 9, which is just such an important movie in the saga, I think it's probably a good thing. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, 100%. Like, and even at that, like, of course, news is going to blow up around the subject right now because of everything that's happened surrounding Lucasfilm as of late, the last couple films. But it doesn't, like you said, polish through it. Needs a fresh set of eyes is a quote I've written down here. Fresh set of eyes on the script. It doesn't hurt. I mean, they have all the money in the world at this point. I mean, the variable that Leia's brought into the picture is also kind of thrown a monkey wrench in the story that he originally wanted to tell. So he probably, I mean, they can't be chucking out the meat and bones of the original synopsis that he had planned. So they're using the tools at their disposal, and, hopefully this guy, he's going to help, they have the body of work, but he's going to help connect the scenes a little more, put the pieces of the puzzle together, so to say. But what interests me, again, is I looked at this guy's filmography, and he's done a whole lot of TV, nothing that I'm really all that familiar with. Future work for him is Sandman, which could be really actually kind of cool. So that's kind of a bit of a highlight there, but most of it's TV stuff, so kind of interesting he's the choice. Not sure if he has any relationship with anyone over there, or maybe just has a great idea that Lucasfilm's like, okay, we got to get this guy on board now.
I have no idea. I don't know this guy's work at all. I saw a lot of people tweeting that, oh, he wrote this and I love this. So, I'm very happy about this. I saw more of that than, oh no, he's the guy that wrote this. We're screwed. So I'm going to knock on wood and just remain positive about it. This could be just nothing more than, adding some sophistication to the dialogue.
I would think so. It has to be that way. It's not like they're going to be starting from square one. Like, this guy must have pitched his story to them quite a while ago.
And he could just be a script doctor for all we know.
I was just going to say that. Maybe this guy's just got a good reputation for cleaning things up. Maybe it's running long. Or, there's a particular problem that they want him to address. Look, we have 2 endings. We can't pick one. We don't know which way to go. Or, we're torn with, this part of the arc. Maybe it's something specific. Or maybe it's just an overall, cleanup. Just last look and last tightening before the end. Guys, 2 seconds. I got to step away. Unfortunately, I thought
you were going to do the whole show.
When we record in the studio, it's much easier than when we do this home recording stuff. And I got the kids running around upstairs. I'll be back in 2.
Sure. All right, Corey. We'll continue here. So John Boyega has some comments about Carrie Fisher that. Actually, you know what? I'll just close on the whole Jack Thorne thing. I was actually pretty impressed. I didn't see a whole lot of widespread panic.
I have to agree with you there because, I think a lot of people are on the same page as us in the sense that, it doesn't hurt with the gravitas of the story they have at hand. Get as many people involved as you can.
Qualified people.
Agreed.
Yeah, no, I mean this. I think this script needs a lot of babysitting. Just because, like you alluded to before with the Carrie Fisher thing, they've got to get that right. This is going to be an all-time thing. They've got to get it right. So, yeah, I mean, if this guy's reputation, which seems pretty solid, I mean, if he can apply that to episode 9 in a positive manner, I will be much more satisfied. John Boyega, he had some comments on Carrie Fisher in The Last Jedi that did sort of send fandom for a bit of a loop. So he said that The Last Jedi sends her off in a very amazing way. She's still kept alive in this franchise. That's the beauty of it. She lives forever in a sense. And I think that's the line that got people all freaked out. So naturally, some people felt that she's going to die in The Last Jedi based on what he said, despite us being told repeatedly that she doesn't die. While others think that Boyega is hinting at the Force Ghost thing. And
let's back it up here a sec. I want to hear what was the confirmation that Leia does not die in this film?
Because episode 8 is unchanged and she was supposed to be in 9.
Okay, I got a bit of a loophole for you there. We know Lucasfilm is sneaky with their wording and whatnot. So, okay, the movie remains unchanged. It doesn't mean that they can't change the film that they have into dealing with the circumstances that they've been dealt. I've always thought that from the beginning. It's hard to think that John Boyega would be able to give such a spoiler away, but we know she's not moving forward in episode 9. Something has to happen in this movie, and, they could rework the film, the footage that Rian Johnson has, not change obviously you're changing the story quite a bit, but depending on how you write it and what they had in the can, it could still work. And I think that's the route they're going. I honestly think that.
I don't think
they're just playing with words.
I mean, in theory, you're right. They could be being very coy about this and changing things up and being clever with editing, and they're creatively using what they've got shot that they didn't plan on using. But I don't think they're going to meddle with our emotions in this way. I don't think they can do that. I don't think they'd get away with that. I think it would be really uncalled for to set expectations about Carrie Fisher for this movie. I don't know, and then bend that just so you could be shocked in the movie theater. I think they're playing it straight up when it comes to Carrie.
I don't know. Even the executives have said she's not in 9, right? So it's a contradictory right there. 8's not changed. She's not in 9. So it's either maybe no one's really so much taking this into consideration that maybe her original plan was to the character to pass away in 8, but then again we've heard confirmation that she was supposed to be in 9.
Well, yeah, I mean, Kathleen Kennedy herself said she was going to be episode 9 was going
That's
to be
true.
her movie.
Yeah,
they're not lying about that. I'd be shocked if she was lying in any way about that. Maybe
No, they-
exaggerating.
No, she said straight up that as a result, the story for episode 9 has basically radically changed.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So I mean, I think by the time we see the end credits of the Last Jedi, Princess Leia, General Leia will be alive, and something will happen. Either it'll be outlined in the crawl, or alluded to in the movie, or something will happen to her ship early on in the film, and we won't see her.
In episode 9?
Correct.
Yeah, I definitely know. I think that's a really super lame cop-out, and I'm going to have to go ahead and disagree with you, and I'm so...
Well, I don't like it. I don't like the off-screen death.
Oh, me neither.
Well, Rob over at TSW has the only way, and I think Nathan Roberts has also mentioned that, like, if you have, like, say you have her ship, and you know she's on the ship, and everybody knows she's on the ship, and you destroy it, the other characters, Luke, Poe, I don't know, Finn may be in that mix. Those players have to sell her death.
No, I agree with that. That's a way of doing it. But
I don't know if that's like the best of a bunch of bad choices. I
Well,
don't
it's
like
gonna-
it. I
it's gonna
don't
be
think
like
she
that
deserves
either
in
way.
any way an off-screen death. But it is what it is. They're not recasting. They're not doing her digitally. That seems option C seems like the only way to go.
Well, how's this? If we take this into consideration, we've talked about this probably even close to almost a year ago at this point. Maybe not a year, but it seems like quite a while ago where, spoiler alert, we heard Leia is gravely injured in this film. No?
Yeah, we
So-
did hear that.
So why not just tweak that part of the story just a tad, where fatally wounded?
Well, I don't think you can tweak it so, ever so slightly, because if you never filmed anybody reacting to her death, then
Cliffhanger.
like Leia dies and nobody says anything.
Cliffhanger.
But her injury was supposed to have happened in like the first act of the movie.
But again, we don't know how they can play with the footage they have now. You know what I mean?
No,
we
you're
were-
right.
We were all
I really
under
don't.
the,
We don't need to get into this whole thing again. But
like we were kind of under the assumption that the beginning of the movie would start on Crate almost. Well, the Jedi training, an infiltration of the First Order on Crate, but now
I
I'm
think
almost starting to lean.
I think Crate is the finale.
Yeah, that's it. If that's the case, then we know Leia's still alive. Right up until that scene, something bad happens at the end of the film, and it's like, oh my god, Leia. And boom, credits,
I don't know. They said 8's unchanged.
That's whatever. It's not like they've not, like I said. You've said this more than anyone. It's not like they've not lied before.
Yeah, but I don't think they're going to lie about Carrie Fisher.
I don't think
Again-
they're going to lie about this either. I'm back, guys. They're not going to lie about this.
But it's only a lie if you believe. No, but
Okay,
seriously,
Costanza.
it's a play on words, really. Again, like I said to you earlier, it still makes sense.
They can't. No, but they can't play on words with this. They can't. They have to be. There's not. They can't do anything other than be straight up about this. They cannot play word games, semantics.
I
They can't do
disagree with you. I disagree with you. I think what they have is the film in the can, and they can manipulate the footage they have right now to still tell a story. And in that sense, nothing's changed.
Yeah, but they can't lie to the fans. Any twist of the truth will be taken as a lie, and they can't do that.
Well,
This is
I
too
said,
sensitive.
just going back to months ago, I said it. 8's remained unchanged. She's not in 9. So
But
something's
she was supposed to be in 9.
Yeah, but something's contradictory still about that, no?
No,
Big time.
I don't see how it's contradictory.
I do. If
She-
she was
she's-
supposed to be in 9 and now she's not, and nothing has changed about her storyline in 8, then where the hell is she in 9?
Exactly.
Well, no, 9 is being changed radically, but she's surviving 8, and they're scrambling to figure out what to do with her in 9.
See, well, that's where
without having her on screen.
that's where I'm willing I'm willing to put money on the line or whatever it is, Kyle. I think a small little wager where I'm going to say that Leia will unfortunately meet her demise in this film. I highly, 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 I think it would be much more disrespectful to have an off-screen death. I think you can end the film with her desk with the footage that they have right now. And therefore, again, it's a loophole.
That's not Disney. A loophole. That's changing 8. There's no loophole there. That's changing her story in 8.
It is changing the story, but it's not changing. And it's changing it's not changing the footage they have on film. Because this is what I was saying earlier, James. You weren't here, but I don't know if you remember months ago we were saying that we know she gets gravely injured in this film. Why not just tweak that a bit? Follow through with that. It's not like, okay, I'm gravely injured, I'm back, and now I'm gonna die again. You know, like, it would be a result of her injuries from this incident in this film, maybe.
Very risky.
Yeah, no, I think they're just playing this. I cannot think they can do anything other than be completely honest and above board with Carrie Fisher. Everything about her fate is going to be handled in 9, and that's why there's so much pressure on Trevorrow, on Connolly, and now on Jack Thorne. Anyway, all this, we had all that discussion. I don't know if we did another 15 minutes on this, but all I want to say about John Boyega's comments was that I'm pretty sure he's just alluding to her performance being a memorable one. I don't know if he's talking anything at all about Leia. I think he's talking about Carrie's legacy.
The legacy part, as in the sense that she lives on, yes. But the send-off is what was interesting to me, seeing that they're sending her off in this film.
But they're talking about Carrie. They're not talking about Leia.
How do they send Carrie off in Star Wars, you know, like?
Because this is her last performance. So her last performance as General Leia is going to be a very memorable one. That's how I read the comments. I don't think the word Leia came up at all in his comments.
Well, the send-off still kind of means something to me.
We'll have to see.
I'm willing, man. Let's do it. Smoke meat, dinner, whatever it is. I'm down.
Done.
Okay.
And you're not loopholing it.
Okay,
she must be deceased in 8 for you to get your smoked meat.
Okay,
dinner.
no, you heard me earlier, but I said the film could end on that note. Like, it could possibly end where you're just like, oh my god, what happened to Leia after this incident? And then you come into 9, like, after the events of whatever, you know? Like, you still saw it happen, but you didn't see her die on her deathbed. Like, you just kind of saw the explosion that happened in 8.
And she expires during the opening crawl?
I don't know. You don't want to put it in the crawl. Like, either way, it's an off-screen death is what you're talking about, right?
Well, think about it. It shows you're left on a cliffhanger. Is Leia dead? You kind of already know. They play it up as a cliffhanger, but you know.
Yeah.
That sucks.
But we'll see.
That completely defeats the purpose of a cliffhanger.
It's all very confusing.
I don't know that it is, but I think it's a very controversial topic, and that's why I don't think they can afford to play around with it.
Well, the last variable is episode 9, which makes things a little complicated.
Yep, no doubt. Anything else you want to say on that, James?
No, I think I don't disagree with anything you guys said, and plus I was away for half of it anyway. But no, I think in the handling of Leia, I agree with Kyle on the point that they can't really be dishonest, and whatever they choose to say, and they don't have to tell us anything, right? They don't have to say anything, but they've chosen to give certain information. I'd be shocked if any of that was misleading.
I would be completely shocked. Absolutely, totally stunned.
But they still want you to be surprised as to the fate.
I don't think
for
they do
character.
with Leia. I don't think they're looking to surprise you anymore. I think they're just looking to, like, in their own eyes, respectfully treat her, Leia's story arc and Carrie's portrayal of her.
Yep. That's exactly the way I think about it. Just do Carrie respect and justice and all that jazz. I don't think they're looking to say to put an exclamation point on the movie by making her death shocking or something. All right, last thing, John Boyega again, and he's in the news a lot promoting his new movie Detroit, and it's something. Here's an aspect that we haven't talked about, and I don't think a lot of people have talked about, but it's about Finn and what he's going to be doing in The Last Jedi. So he was asked about Finn's undercover work. His response was pretty funny. He said, "Well, it's like, imagine you work at McDonald's. You push your manager into a chute compactor, and then a year later you decide to go back dressed as one of the colleagues. It's not the best situation. There's a lot of chasing. There's a mission that needs to be completed, but that isn't necessarily something that doesn't come without a fight, and that's something he's going to have to face for himself." So, Corey, what do you want to take from this?
I like it. Like, we definitely already know that he's going to have a big role in this film. She's got a mission, and I think it's clear. Hopefully, that's another thing about his injuries. We know he's not even fully healed, supposedly, in this film, which is kind of interesting a bit. But he's going to be better than ever. Cybernetic implants and all that. But his past life is going to play a big role in this. The Resistance, he's invaluable to them right now. He knows the inner workings of the First Order. So they got to take advantage of that. They got to use all the cards that they have in their hand to take advantage of the situation they're in. So he's definitely going to need to infiltrate the ranks of the First Order. Is it by accident, or is it a mission given to him? I think we just had confirmation that it was a mission given to him. It's not like he's on the run, on the lam, and needs to, by accident, kind of has to fall into the ranks of the First Order. It seems almost as if he's been given this mission.
Well,
or maybe
that's what I want to ask you guys. Do you think it's a mission he because I don't know when this mission takes place in the movie. I don't know if it's first act, second act, third act. I don't know. I think it's 1 or 2.
No.
But
in 1 you know at one point he's still recuperating, right?
Yeah,
it's got to be at the beginning.
I would think that. So Canto Bight. Does his mission take him to Canto Bight, or does he infiltrate First Order after Canto Bight?
I'd say after. Canto Bight might have something to do with him getting into the First Order, maybe. But it definitely seems like a later in the film kind of moment.
Doesn't it sort of seem fitting of his character to volunteer for this mission? If it's as, sort of in hindsight, if he volunteers for it and it's as difficult as walking into a McDonald's, and seeing your old manager, that would sort of lend itself to be even funnier if it was if he was like, well, I know everything about the inside of that ship, so I'll do it. And then as he's on there, he's like, why the hell did I do this? I know everybody and everybody's chasing me.
I'm sure that'll be, part of the comedic element to it. There's a reported Tom Hardy cameo where that kind of thing plays out.
Yeah, and supposedly Tom Hardy thinks that he's like First Order propaganda has kind of told him that.
Well, before spoiler before you go any further. Spoiler alert. Yeah, you're exactly right, Corey. Continue.
Well, basically, he just tells him that he thinks that he's been told that Finn's a double agent. He kind of went to the rebellion or the resistance to help the First Order, whereas opposed screw them over. Just to kind of keep the cloth over their eyes, if you will.
Oh, we will, Corey.
Yeah, no, that's it. It's the First Order has sort of advertised Finn as a double agent so as not to appear weak. So when he turns up again, whether it's, I don't know if he's infiltrating a base or a Star Destroyer, but the Tom Hardy stormtroopers sees him and goes, yeah, offers him a high five. Good to see you again, double agent. But that's not the case at all.
Yeah. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
But if you're gonna have a double agent, why do you choose the sanitations guy? Doesn't he not really fit the profile?
He doesn't seem to have the qualifications.
Well, that's his day job, I think. That's one thing I hope they flush this out in this film.
Haha, well done, sir. Flush out sanitation.
I knew you'd like that one. But either way, I hope we see more of Finn's military training come to hand. The First Order military training. We know we saw him go up against the dude with the whatever kind of weapon he was holding with the lightsaber. He also went up against Kylo Ren. Like, granted, okay, he was a sanitation guy, and he does look a little naive and humble and innocent a bit, but I want to see him be like, no, like, I trained my whole life. Like, I can kick some serious ass.
Well, in the book Before the Awakening, and I think in even some of the promo material from leading up to The Force Awakens, he was sort of described as a very good, skilled stormtrooper. But the Before the Awakening book confirms it, and he's not elite, but he's, like I say, he's very good at being a stormtrooper. And yeah, the sanitation thing, that's sort of like your day job. Whatever.
Well, here's how I broke it all down, kind of. I said, like, why? Why is Finn doing this? And the things that come to mind are, I got kind of 4 options. They're trying to gain information of some type, which has kind of already been done in Rogue One, so I don't think it's that. Then there'd be B, they're trying to shut something down or destroy something, which, again, kind of been done with, shutting down and blowing up Starkiller.
And Death
saving
Star,
someone.
So repeating is not that big a deal.
True, so it's possible. Any of these are possible. And you got C, they're trying to save someone, rescue someone that's important. Or D, it's a trap.
Yeah, I mean, they're either after trying to, getting info on somebody or recovering something. Like, yeah, all these options are totally on the table. I have absolutely no idea, and nor do I even want to know at this point.
It could be a luring of Finn, It could be like that moment where Rey's like training and, my friends are in trouble.
Yeah, I have a feeling that he takes on this mission by himself. Or convinces somebody, because I think we know that Rose is with him. And she's a mechanic, right?
Yeah.
So let's send this new guy who just woke up and who just really showed up here from the First Order. Take the mechanic and send them on this really crucial mission. That doesn't make any sense. That's pretty poor planning. It would make sense to send Finn because of his knowledge of the First Order, but for Rose to tag along,
well, he's got Poe in his corner too.
Well, I don't know if Poe's going to be with Finn much in the movie.
No, but you know that he's vouched for him.
Like I wonder if I wouldn't be shocked if Finn says this is something that the Resistance needs and we need to do it, and Rose says, "Well, I'm coming with you." And off they go.
My original fan theory was that, he kind of got shipped off. Like, the battle happened, they got, much like Hoth, they got infiltrated at the beginning, and he was got separated from the pack, in a way. But I think they're not going down that route. No?
Well, it could be the two of them. It would be a very Star Wars thing for them to steal a ship and go off on a mission when they're not supposed to as well.
No, I agree 100%. But I also like, maybe it's him saying, "Hey, I know what to do here. And them just being like, "Okay, like, relax, you're still kind of injured, and not paying attention to him." And he's like, "All right, Rose, let's do this." Because they kind of do take some of his advice in The Force Awakens. I mean, they send him to Starkiller, right?
Yeah, because they had no other choice. They needed somebody who knew the layout of Starkiller Base, which he did.
But they're in the corner still. Like, they know, obviously, can trust him. Like, they sent him, he accomplished the mission. He probably looks like he maybe even had a severed spinal cord. Like, whatever it is, like, he put in some overtime there quickly, and he got his stars and stripes. Like, he's earned their respect, I would think, at this point.
Well, you know how people rise the rank so quickly in Star Wars. I wouldn't be surprised if he was like Major Finn at this point.
Yeah, it's like, you went up against Kylo Ren?
Make him a major.
General Finn.
Level up.
Well, you ever notice like Han goes into Carbonite as Captain Solo, and then the next time you see him in Jedi, when he comes out of the Carbonite, he's still Captain Solo, but then you see him, on the conference room on Home One, and he's General Solo.
Yeah, that's when you're just like, they're like, you wanna be in control of the landing party? No, give it to Rex. And then you'd be like, we'll make you a general. All right, Rex is like, but.
Yeah, anyway, I'm just cracking wise here, but it seems like people do get awarded pretty staggeringly high ranks pretty quickly, despite not having been around for all that long. So anyway, it wouldn't surprise me to see Major Finn.
Han Solo, for your efforts of having stayed alive in 6 months of carbonite, we award you the rank of general.
Well, and you know what? I guess the snarky know-it-all would say, well, you don't know how much time passed between them splitting up on Tatooine. You know, when Luke goes to Dagobah to say goodbye to Yoda, you don't know how much time passes between then and meeting on Home One. So maybe he did some other stuff in between and was awarded rank of general. I mean, we probably tend to think it's all within a couple days, right?
Yeah, it's the way it's kind of, you're led to believe that a bit.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a needless tangent. Okay, so anything else on Finn's undercover work, James? James, do you think he's taking a mission, or is he taking initiative and doing it himself?
I'll go with initiative. I think I could see him not being taken as seriously as he wants. He wants to be making an impact kind of thing. Maybe because he's still injured. Maybe because he's too new. And he's like, I know what to do. And yeah, I think he takes initiative.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too.
I think feel like it's...
or you know what? Or maybe a motivated Rose. You know, if her sister gets killed in that space battle, which I think might be a first act thing, then maybe she's like, well, I'm going. And I'm going to go take the fight straight to the First Order. And Finn goes, whoa, you don't want to do that? Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going with you. I could see either of those things playing out. But I don't personally think that someone is going to say, Finn, you do this, and off he goes.
I could see it going either way, just, again, because of his knowledge of the inner workings of the First Order. I could see them wanting to exploit that. But in the same right, I almost see it a bit like you guys, but I see it like they get put in a situation that they don't necessarily want to be in, not of their own choice, and then they got to make the best of it, and then take their own initiative to be like, okay, this is how we can get out of it.
Yeah, I guess all three are definitely on the table. Okay, let's take a quick break, and then we'll return with some ads edition, some Bradley banter, and a great question from Katie.
Hello chaps, so I found my voice again and I have a couple of questions for you this week. The first one concerns Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Qui-Gon dies at the hands of Maul, and that then has a knock-on effect that leads to Obi-Wan Kenobi training Anakin and all that then follows. So what happens if instead of Qui-Gon Jinn having been killed by Maul, what if Maul had killed Obi-Wan instead? Meaning that Qui-Gon actually lived. How would that have changed everything? Would it have changed everything? Qui-Gon then trains Anakin. Qui-Gon is then there to be a voice to the Jedi Council. Qui-Gon does not die, and so therefore does not learn how to Force Ghost. For me, thinking about it, it's a real sliding door moment. The path that was trod and the path that could have been trod. So have a think about that. It'd be really interesting to hear what you think and your views. And then the second question is very simply, is the Force blue? Each Force Ghost comes back with a bit of a blue makeover, so I wondered if you had any views on this as well. Have a great show. Take care. Bye.
And he sounds better than ever. Thank you, Ads, for the great question. And congrats on finding that voice. Where'd you find it, by the way?
In the Handsome store. I'm so glad to hear from you, lads.
All right, so Ads hit on some pretty good points there. So I think we can have some fun with this question. So Ads asks us, what happens if Obi-Wan dies instead of Qui-Gon? And if the man bun sporting... I guess it's not really a man bun. But anyway,
It's not a man bun.
It's not. You're right. What happens if Qui-Gon ends up training Anakin as I guess he originally intended to? Who wants this one first?
I'll have at it. I'm going to go ahead and say that I believe in Manifest Destiny for Star Wars. I don't believe in it for real life, but I think even if he wasn't killed by Maul, he would have been killed in the quest to stop things from happening at some point, and he still would have been the first to learn to Force Ghost. I think when he died isn't the reason that he was the first to learn to do that. So to tackle that part of the question, I'm going to go ahead and say Ads. I think Qui-Gon was just going to be the guy who figured that out no matter what. And I also think he wouldn't have lived a long, happy life if he would have sliced Maul in half and it would have gone the other way. I think he would have gone down to Dooku or Palpatine or someone else, not too much later on, definitely later on, but not too much later on, and still ended up with a similar end fate.
Yeah, this can go so many different ways.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take a hard no on James's perspective there.
Whoa, go easy,
James. Come on. No, but I don't know. Like I do.
James kind of said your favorite thing, Will of the Force.
No, I agree with James there. That's what I was going to say. I do kind of agree with you in the sense that I guess maybe you're saying he was destined to die one way or another. The way I'm going to take it is one way or another, no matter what Qui-Gon does, the end result for Anakin being the chosen one is to turn to the dark side. It's his destiny, like you said. You can't really change that. It's the wills of the Force. But I do see some interesting aspects that can come out of this in the sense that, it's a really good question. Like, the Phantom Menace, there's not much of a connection between Anakin and Obi-Wan. It's mostly Qui-Gon and Anakin. Like, Anakin's taken with Qui-Gon, and Qui-Gon's the one that's kind of arranging the deals and making this whole thing happen. So when he dies at the end, it's like he's kind of flung onto Obi-Wan, Anakin. Like, he's kind of just, okay, train him, please. And it's like, I met you once. Pleased to meet you, sir. But
yeah, that's a hell of an ask, right? You're barely a Jedi Knight. You're not even a Jedi Knight yet, but I need you to train him.
Well, it's it. Like, he got stripped from his mother. Like, Qui-Gon is the one he, again, had the relationship with, so was comfortable with. So, flung onto Obi-Wan, who, again, was still a Padawan at the time. And, I don't know, just see, if Obi-Wan had passed away, then I think in the long run, Qui-Gon could have been a game changer in this whole thing. Granted, again, Anakin still turns at one point somehow, but it could have been all happened a lot sooner. Because I think Qui-Gon, he seemed like a bit of the voice of reason, which is probably why, almost in my head, I want to make my own headcanon and say, Palpatine was like, make sure you wipe out Qui-Gon. Get rid of him. He's trouble. Get rid of him. End him. So Qui-Gon gets got. But had he not, he could have sniffed out Palpatine's plan sooner. I think he would have questioned the Order a lot more. When they're talking about, when Sifo Dyas comes into play and this whole clone army shows up out of nowhere, he'd be, slapping him in the face, hey, wake up! This is weird. Something's not right here. And he could also possibly Dooku being his old master, like he could sense Dooku's presence maybe in that, and just kind of sniff it out a little sooner. But I could see him being a voice of reason in that regard, and I also don't see Qui-Gon ever going to war. Like I think he'd go against the Order in that regard. Be like, no, like this is a ruse for the dark side. Like we need to bide our time or whatever it is he tells them. But I don't. And if they go against him and just say like, no, like we have to go to war now. Like we have this whole army in front of us. He'd be like, okay, well, maybe I'm out, and he kind of becomes the Ahsoka of the prequels, where he leaves the Order.
I think one interesting thing that you said in there, Corey, is the idea that he would have challenged what was going on a lot more. That I agree with. If he was around longer, he certainly would have asked questions, I think. And seemingly from what we saw in The Phantom Menace, he was well respected and high ranking. So that may have changed the way things played out a little bit. That's something I hadn't considered.
Yeah, he'd be like, guys, like our vision's clouded by the dark side, but we're just gonna go ahead and, all right, forward march. Well, let's do this. We don't know what's going on. We just landed this billion-guy army. Score.
How convenient. We need an army right now. Oh, look, we have one.
Nothing fishy about that.
No, we'll ask questions later. That's again a very dumb thing, which we'll get to in a bit. Qui-Gon must have already known the better part of the Force ghosting trick, right? Like, we don't know what happens to your Force spirit in the immediate minutes and hours after you die. Do you hang out in this limbo and then work at becoming a Force ghost, or like are you? I don't know how any of that works.
Yeah, it's like banging against a glass, kind of, until you slowly start to shatter it. Almost. I'm sure it doesn't happen in the first attempt, or at least Qui-Gon's first attempt.
But Qui-Gon must have known, right? Like when, at the moment that he gets stabbed through the chest, he still must have known how to push his consciousness through for the most part. I know he touched on this in The Lost Missions, Season 6, I believe. He explained a little bit to Yoda about how he was able to do it. So I think there was some passage of time, and it took him some additional time to figure it out. But I don't know exactly how much time. But
if he was adequately confident, he would have probably said something in the movies. Like, I'll see you again, Obi-Wan.
Yeah, maybe. But I wonder, if Qui-Gon actually survives, does he, as the chosen one, like Qui-Gon knows, he believes so deeply in this kid. I gotta believe that he would have taught Anakin this trick as soon as he had some sort of handle on it. Like, almost, maybe not mastery of it.
No, I don't think he figured it out until he was like dying. I think death like helped him figure it out. I don't think he could have taught it in life.
Well, I don't even know. We don't even necessarily know that Vader or Anakin ever even heard of Force ghosting until the end, and he's the chosen one, and somehow he's able to do it.
Of course not. No one had.
But if Qui-Gon had reached out to him, like Kyle was just saying, like at a point, like that could have maybe even changed his whole perspective on, I don't know, like whatever is going on with Padme.
His biggest fear, yeah.
Yeah, like,
well,
exactly.
Death,
that's where I'm going. So if Anakin knows about Force ghosting way early on, and on the side he's also developing his relationship with Palpatine. Maybe he even tells Palpatine, "Dude, the Jedi have this trick of Force ghosting." And maybe there's the whole thing of the Sith who cannot Force ghost because it takes selflessness and introspection and long study, blah blah blah, all things that the Sith don't do. And maybe they aren't even aware. Like, Qui-Gon's the first, so Palpatine presumably doesn't even conceive of the idea of a Force ghost. It doesn't even occur to him that it's possible. And here comes Anakin going, "Dude, you won't believe what my master can do, or thinks he can do. We won't know until he dies, but he thinks he can live on immortality, man." And Palpatine's going, "Oh my God, this is what I'm looking for." So that could have definitely altered the course of Star Wars. If suddenly
And then
a Sith...
Palpatine kills Qui-Gon right then.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Well, he either kills Qui-Gon right then and then puts the whole thing into effect, or he says, well, Anakin, get me that trick. You should tell me more about that, son. Tell me more about this Force ghosting thing. I think that could go either way. But I think that's the biggest thing. But also, if it didn't go that way and Anakin's learning this trick, and then they have that scene at the opera in Revenge of the Sith where Palpatine is sort of wooing Anakin about the power to cheat death and all this stuff. And Anakin goes, dude, I already know. I'm not worried about Padme at all. I can say I know how to cheat death. I know Force ghosting. I got this.
he's like, but no, I'm talking about in a more like physical Snoke way.
Don't you know? Don't you? But yeah, I think that could have, the Force ghosting thing could have played out in so many different ways that would have been so interesting. Like what would it, like I could totally see Palpatine, like you guys have both said, this Qui-Gon guy's trouble. He is corrupting the guy that I want to corrupt. Like Qui-Gon's
I can see him just
go.
wanting to kill Qui-Gon to see if it's true and to like learn the secret. So like, tell me or I'll kill you. And anyways, I want to kill you because I want to see if it's true.
Plus the added benefit of using that emotional leverage on Anakin once his master's been killed again.
Again.
Well, never had a master, but whatever.
Taken away from his mom, now his master's killed. Yeah, that would have been super, super interesting. And it wouldn't have stopped there, right? It would. There's, I mean, the domino effect. It would have trickled on down. Who knows how many ramifications it would have had? But I think certainly the biggest thing is the Force Ghost thing. How could that have played out differently? Imagine if the Sith had gotten their hands on that secret.
Yeah, it's interesting. Another big takeaway. The big takeaway for me again is I really, can you guys see this? If the Clone Wars begin, Qui-Gon's still alive. Is he a part of them?
Like, is he leading his own clone battalion?
Yeah, it's like, okay, the Clone Wars have begun. The Clone Wars have. That's what we hear, and then it's like Qui-Gon's like, yo, I'm not down with this. I've been talking about this for a while now. Like, this isn't the way to go. You need to really think about this a little more. And then they're just like, no, like, you're general now. And he'd be like, no, I'm not. Like, I see it like, no, I'm not. Like, I don't see him going to battle like that. I just see him maybe taking the law into his own hands, kind of.
I could so very much see him stepping aside, going, I'm not taking part in your war.
Yeah.
And he looked like Dooku walked away as well. Like, we forget Dooku was a Jedi at one point. Like, I'd like to see that moment at some point in time where Dooku dumps the Jedi Order and goes bad. And I imagine we will, but yeah, maybe Qui-Gon says, my old master walked away because he didn't agree with the Jedi. I think I'm going to go find out what he's up to. And who knows where it goes from there. But yeah, I think I agree. I don't think Qui-Gon would have taken up the Republic cause. Second question of ads. James, is the Force blue?
No.
What color is the Force?
See, I think and the reason I'm saying this is very plain and simple, is that Help Me Obi-Wan Kenobi, You're My Only Hope was also blue. And so I'm just going to go with like Star Wars non-people imagery is just blue.
Yeah, all those little hollow transmissions, they're all blue. Lots of stuff is blue in Star Wars.
It's just that's the way things look when you're not real live people. That's the way transmissions look, including after-death transmissions.
Corey, what do you think?
Well, blue is my favorite color, especially Star Wars blue.
Especially, you did have that last beer.
I'm
going to say,
going.
it's funny you say favorite color, because the reason I went with no is because green's my favorite color. So if the Force is any color, it's green.
Mm. Yeah, now I'm definitely saying that it's definitely really blue.
Hard no. I'm gonna go with a hard no on that.
So yes, okay, it's blue. All right. No, honestly, you're right, James. Force is whatever you want it to be, man.
Like Gozer.
Kind of. It's anything and everything. It's what binds us together.
Well, see, I don't, if it's not blue, I don't know what it is. And like you said, Corey, the Force is whatever it wants to be or whatever it needs to be in any given situation. But you've got blue ghosts, blue Force lightning, and when Palpatine dies, what comes up that shaft? It's some kind of blue Force energy, presumably.
Is there any blue to the fire when they're burning Anakin's body? Vader's body?
No, I think that's just straight yellow red flame. I don't think he burns that hot.
Just from the plastic of his suit.
He's not really they're not Force ghosting, they're just all high off the plastic melting.
What about those little Force orb thingies that Yoda first sees on Dagobah? I don't think those were blue. I think those were more like a golden, white, yellow type thing.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And I think that's probably the purest embodiment of the Force. As far as... Yeah.
Spiritual.
Then again, there's the whole Mortis thing. You can't really focus on too much on blue there.
I don't believe the Force has a color. Like,
I think the Force likes blue. The Force is very fond of blue.
Yeah. A lot of blue kyber crystals.
All right, yeah, so there you go, ads. That's as close as I can get. If it's not blue, I don't know what it is, but it definitely likes blue. Final answer, guys? James, you said green, right?
The Force is green. It's very clear to me now.
And Corey?
It's the rainbow.
It's a rainbow. All right. I think you just titled the episode. It's a rainbow. Alrighty, ads. Thank you, sir. Again, congrats on finding your voice. And looking forward to hearing from you again next week. That is, if you don't lose your voice again.
Indeed.
And we move on to the man in the deep south. How far deep south is Bradley? Do we know? I mean, Texas is a big state. Is he in like Austin further north, or is he like San Antonio, El Paso further south? Anybody know?
I'm not
I
sure.
don't know, but if I had to guess, I would guess that Bradley's an Austin guy. But let us know, Bradley.
Bradley likes his art, and Austin's a very artsy fartsy place. We almost live there. We almoys seem to see eye to eye with Bradley, which is why I say Austin. They call it the blue dot in the Red Sea politically. Hey, should we make Bradley a Knight of the Commonwealth? It's been a while, right?
You read my mind. You read my mind.
Yeah,
he's due.
So I mean, Bradley has been around for a while, but I don't think he's aware of the Knights of the Commonwealth, or the massive responsibilities he's about to take on with very little to no pay. But we confer this title on you, Bradley. A Knight of the Commonwealth for I don't know, 3 solid months of being hyper interactive and super into the show. You've got to join the ranks, man. Knight of the Commonwealth. The few. So welcome to the crowd, Bradley.
I just think it's terrific that we get such great participation, and now Kyle has to edit in knighting music, which makes me giggle because I have to edit in stuff all the time.
Yeah, no, I'll have time to do that.
It's well deserved, though. It's well deserved.
Yeah, that's true. It's like coronation music almost.
Well, we all recognize the music.
Okay, Kyle, sorry.
All right, so let's hit on Bradley's question here. Let me pull up the show notes. All right. So if there was one thing you could change about the prequels, what would it be? I have to say this is a very hard question for me to answer. From wanting our first introduction to Anakin to be when he is a teenager instead of a boy, to Grievous, who in my opinion was there only because they killed off the character who was supposed to be there, Maul. Then there's Jar Jar Binks' poorly written dialogue, weak plot, no big surprises, and so on. But the one thing I would like to see changed is Darth Maul would not be killed off in the first movie. Rather, he would play a part in the conversion of Anakin to the dark side. In the third act, Maul would be struck down by Anakin, taking his place by the Emperor's side. I do realize this would change everything in a sense, plot and so on, but I'm okay with that. You could still have the same ending. We would just have gotten there traveling a different road. Thanks for reading my question, and may the Force be with you always. Cheers from Bradley. All right, Corey, what is your one big gripe? The one, if this was Festivus, all right, if this was Festivus and you had one thing for your airing of grievances, what are you going to say about the prequels, and what would you change?
First, I just want to say quickly what he had said about Maul. Super cool. To have kept him around, like you said, nothing could have, like, the end result would have been the same. Obi-Wan could have still have been there, and it still could have been awesome. The older Anakin as well.
No twin sons, though.
What do you mean?
If Anakin kills Maul in Revenge of the Sith, you don't get twin sons.
That's true. That's true.
And that's not to say you wouldn't get something else equally cool.
But whatever, he slices him in half in part 3, and then Maul still comes back. Whatever.
He comes back again.
Oh, just the once.
All right, whatever.
So, yeah, well, I mean, anyway. There's a lot of stuff to be had there, you know, with all the relationships. It could have been cool, but I guess if I had to really, really, really boil it down, there would have been a lot less... this is pretty broad, but a lot less politics and a lot more...
Yeah.
A lot more force.
Boo.
Like, the audience could have still got the perspective that, you know, there was a lot of political turmoil that still could have been related in other ways, but it seemed to become the forefront of the films where the magic is within the Force, and they had huge subject material here with the Chosen One, the prophecy, all this stuff. It was a cataclysmic game changer of a moment for the Jedi, and it really seemed like it was just clouded by politics.
I actually don't disagree with you. I thought it'd be fun to boo you, and that. But
I thought you were booing the politics part.
Well, I do boo the politics, but I was booing your answer that's just too easy, man. That fruit was so low lying, it's rotten from touching the ground.
But I mean, that's what bothers me the most. I mean, the magic. Yeah, me too.
But it is the easy complaint. That's the biggest problem with it. They could have done like Force temples, or like they could have explored this. They could have explored this prophecy. Like, it's funny they were just like, it's the kid from the prophecy, and that was it. That's all we ever got. We didn't get like any Jedi sitting around talking about this huge prophecy. I don't know, man. You're not wrong, but it's just it's not a specific answer. So I booed you anyway.
Well, okay, here's a specific answer. I got one for you. Okay, instead of using the Separatists and like this whole civil war that they got going on, they could have focused more on the Force again, but they could have used something cooler like crime lords or Mandalorians. Like something where the war would have been like a lot more extreme instead of like these robots, you know? Like, it would have been cool to see like tons of different alien species like fighting this clone army.
Yeah, they made it pretty. He made it pretty generic. It's almost like he knew he wanted to sell it to Disney when he's like, I gotta wipe out Faceless, Mindless. Yeah.
Both of them on both sides. You got clones on one side, which, you know, is kind of a weird topic where, you know, one gets killed. It's like, well, he's a clone. It's okay. Then you got robots on the other side.
That boils back down to that thing we said, though. It was like, classic
it doesn't-
storytelling of good guy versus bad guy, and he didn't want you to care about who was getting blown up.
Exactly. You don't want blood. I think the first time I ever saw blood in Star Wars was The Force Awakens. And I was like, wow. Opening scene. Damn.
Well, there's blood when what's his face gets his arm chopped off by Obi-Wan in A New Hope.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
But anyway, I'll disagree with you guys on the politics part, and I know it could have been handled and written a lot better.
Oh, Corey, let's boo Kyle.
Yeah, bring it on. Come at me.
Boo!
You know,
Okay,
you're
go
both
on.
allowed to be wrong, because as much as Star Wars, the prequels anyway, were about Anakin's fall, they're also about the fall of democracy, and about how Palpatine centralized his power.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Just tell me more about the fall of democracy.
I think there's something about people laugh about it or something.
Did you even pay attention?
Yeah.
No, it's about how Palpatine brought all this power onto himself by making himself look sympathetic and you know, creating this enemy that never really existed in the first place, and then getting the army created to defeat it so that he could, you know, then grab all this power for himself.
Yeah, but
Couldn't you
I
have told
love
us all
that.
with like secondary dialogue while action was going on? Couldn't you have like explained to us that the mastermind had done all that while showing us like cool, fun stuff instead
Exactly,
of actual
like-
Senate scenes?
Exactly. There's so much room to understand that and to see Palpatine's ultimate. Like, we missed out on all that. We get that now. Like, when an ordinary filmgoer goes, like, they don't look at Palpatine's master plan, which should have been the premise of these films, more or less. Like, you should have seen the underlying scheme that he was weaving throughout it.
You did.
It was too subtle, though. We should have got deeper into that, as opposed to the delegation
Wait, you're complaining
from.
about the superficiality of what we got anyway, and now you're saying to go deeper?
I'm saying to go deeper behind into the Force side of it, like what he's doing behind the scenes when you're not in the Senate and saying like the Trade Republic disagrees.
Look, I'm gonna like some of that stuff. It was like, sleep inducing. Like to see the opening,
Exactly.
to see
Like,
the
you
words
could
like
still-
trade disputes and, you know, blockades and taxation.
You could still
and
get
that's why
all
I said
that.
like it was like badly written. It could have been, you know, shaped a different way that it's at least interesting, because I find it really fascinating how Palpatine was able to woo everybody. And maybe
It is
could-
his story. It's amazing. I don't. No one disagrees with that, Kyle. I got your back on that.
100%. Me too. But it could have been done a lot differently.
Oh,
Like-
Corey, I figured it out. Bradley shits on Jar Jar, so Corey can't agree with any of this stuff now because Kyle secretly likes Jar Jar. I don't know if it's secret anymore. I think it's just out there. I think Kyle just loves Jar Jar.
I think what it is he has an empathy for Jar Jar, and I do too. Like, there's an understanding there that they tried to do something to draw some crowd in.
It worked. I
It
agree
worked
that the
for-
kids love him.
kids love
Kids
him.
do love him. Kids love him, and I have to love him.
But he is
for that.
annoying.
It's true. When I saw the movie for the first time as an 18-year-old, I felt like f***ing kicking the. Sorry,
Ah, yes.
I was quite upset when I was like, "What is going on?" I was like,
Why is
confused.
that guy saying
How
Misa
dare
so
he not
much?
make a movie expressly for me? Why would he put a character catered to children? How dare Lucas?
"Well, it's not necessarily. There's lots of characters that are catered to children that I can look at and be like, that's really well done." But this guy was just like, "Misa, so stupid." Like, come on. Like, you have billions of dollars at your disposal, bro. Like, come on, just let people help you.
It's probably like a voice he did for his niece or something that she loved, and he's like, "Man, this is gonna just be hotcakes."
I think it was just, you know, it's a matter of his own ego in a way. Like, no, Jar Jar will sell. It's gonna be huge. It's a risk I'm taking. Like Kyle said it before too. There was too many yes men out there. Like, yes, George. Like, I don't know. Like, again, granted, he liked to take risks. That was a risk. And, you know, I'm kind of sad in the sense that we don't get to see Jar Jar's full original intended story arc.
I'm sad we don't get to see Jar Jar run through like we got to Han run through with the lightsaber. That would have been a good story arc for Jar Jar.
I thought you were going to say his snout and eyeballs lopped off.
Then he'd look like Snoke.
Oh. I think we're on
Nope.
something.
No.
He's not human.
No, I love Jar Jar in the long run, just again for my kid. I see my kid react to him. I love him. I see what they tried to do with him there. That could have been done a lot better, though. There's a lot of writing and dialogue that could have been done so much better. The whole trade separatist thing makes sense, but it could have been more interesting where it was more like bounty hunter, or not bounty hunters, Mandalorians being so powerful, the last remnants of space or something, teaming up with a crime syndicate. That could have been a lot more interesting anyhow.
Well, you got it in Clone Wars, so there you go.
But just more, the Force thing is where it all lost me. Like, it should have been a lot more centered toward that. Like, again, the Chosen One, the prophecy, like
yeah,
the beginning
it's true,
of all
though. They
this.
talk about the prophecy and midichlorians like crazy, but really they don't talk about them. Like, they mention them all kinds, but give us zero real in-depth view as to what they're talking about. Like, don't you think they should have given us a little more about that prophecy? They just keep saying the prophecy. He's the chosen one, the prophecy. Like,
yeah, they
could have explored that a little.
Yeah, that's magic right there. Like, I love stuff like that. And the Force was not magic. It was science in the Phantom Menace, which kind of makes sense. It was more, they understood a bit. They introduced midichlorians, I guess, which, whatever, it is what it is.
Who made that prophecy and when? And who'd been tracking it? And like, where are those records kept? And all that stuff would have been interesting to know.
Exactly. And you find out it's all Palpatine or whatever behind the scenes, like pulling the strings. And it could have been a masterpiece.
Although it is my favorite of the prequel movies. I actually quite like that movie.
Me too. I think it's my favorite too.
Yeah, it's my second favorite of the prequels, but the more, as the years go on, I like it more and more. You know, it had an initial peak because it was new Star Wars, and then it just dropped. You know, I guess I got swept up a little bit in the negativity of it all. But you know, in the years going by, I think it's aged pretty well. And I think some mistakes were made. I'm not crazy about the Jar Jar character. I appreciate him. I think he annoys me to no end. But whatever, I can look past him. He hasn't ruined the movie for me. Midichlorians, I could take him or leave him. I personally would rather leave them, but
I like being able to quantify the Force, and not necessarily in the sense, okay, we have midichlorians, and you. Like, I like being able to say, like, okay, well, like, you look at this Force
strong
user.
with him. That's enough.
Yeah,
quantification.
like, and you could, yeah, well, like, but you could see, and to be able to see it, like, when you see Anakin's, what do you call it, Virgins, you're like, holy cow, it's like Akira.
Nah, that's Dragon Ball Z, man. You don't want that in Star Wars.
Well, I like that they're able to quantify it, but again, to be able to say, like, oh, it's midichlorians in your system, that's a little odd. Like, I like it when they look at Anakin and they're like, wow, this is an anomaly.
Well, the thing with midichlorians, and whenever you go down this road to try and explain them, you either sound like you're mansplaining, or you're being an apologist. And I hate having to try and explain them because I don't know if I fully understand them myself. But the way Lucas has described them is the midichlorians are not the Force. Like, just because you have a lot of them will not make you automatically powerful. Like, you still have to train like a mad person in order to make use of those midichlorians. They're just the stupid little things in your system that allow you to communicate with the Force. So whether you have one, if you have one midichlorian and you train like crazy, you might have to train extra crazy, but you'll still be a pretty damn good Jedi Knight or Master. Just having more of them just means that
was Lucas's original.
Means the connection to the Force might come a little easier. That's all the midichlorians are. They're not. Yes, that's exactly what they are.
I think it's different
Sorry,
than that.
are we
like,
talking about
because-
the Republic again, or are we on midichlorians still? Jeez, guys, come on. You got to admit, though, the idea that even explaining it is rough. Like, it's a bad concept.
Well, we know that there was a screening process for babies in the Republic. So it's not like, okay, you have one midichlorian, you're in. Like, there had to be some kind of level there where they're like, okay, like, this guy is force sensitive enough to the point where he can be a Jedi. I don't think it's like, you have one, you can work on that.
Well, no, I'm saying that to make I'm exaggerating the point. Just because you have a lot or a little doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be that's the level you're going to be.
This is brought up in the argument, like, did Anakin become less of a Force user when he lost some of his limbs? Because your midichlorians are tied up in your DNA or whatever, right?
No, I don't think he did.
No, I don't think so either. He's just as powerful a Jedi and Force user. But I think that's the point. That ties into the point Kyle's making now, is it's not total number that indicates your Force savviness.
But anyway,
no, that's true.
It's another concept that may have been poorly executed. Like for me, like, I think midichlorians and Jar Jar were two things that Lucas initially committed to in the Phantom Menace, and then completely backed off of, almost completely, for Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. Like, Jar Jar's got phased out right quick.
Because all the 18-year-olds like Kyle, who were like Corey, who were like, what the is this on the screen?
Well, yeah, and like, he got phased out really quickly, and we never heard of midichlorians again. And they've been, I think, in my opinion, now they've been replaced by kyber crystals. They're the new sort of proxy by which we explain the Force. And the evidence I submit for that is there's a line in the Phantom Menace where Qui-Gon is explaining midichlorians in that scene that we all sort of roll our eyes at. He says to Anakin, "When you quiet your mind, you'll hear them speaking to you." And now in the novelizations, the new novels, the new canon, they say when you quiet your mind, you'll hear the kyber crystals calling to you.
That's the midichlorians and the kyber crystals.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been saying it for a long time that midichlorians are out, kyber crystals are in. That's going to be, if there's going to be any air quote science into the Force, it'll come through the explanation of kyber crystals. So there you go. But boy, I think we're still in Bradley's question here. So Corey, what you would have changed the politics?
The politics for Force. More explanation between what Palpatine was doing with the dark side behind the scenes. A little more explanation as to why the Jedi were so easily fooled. Why were the Jedi so easily fooled? Why were they so foolish? I just don't understand we touched upon this with Ad's question. Why did they just so easily just go along with things and not question what was going on? Being clouded by the dark side, they still just chose to go march full on ahead and say, well, whatever. I mean, we got to do what we got to do.
Yep.
Like, I would have really liked to see more about how Palpatine was manipulating the Jedi, so then you can kind of empathize more with the Jedi and be like, man, Palpatine really had his game on. The poor Jedi, they didn't see what was coming. But in this case, you're kind of just like, okay, Palpatine's, he's doing stuff in politics, and he's got a master plan, and, well, the Jedi don't really have a clue. Okay, fight.
All right, moving on. James, what would you change?
Like I said, it's my favorite of the prequel movies. So really, my only complaints beyond Jar Jar, which, like you said, Kyle, doesn't ruin the movie for me. I found him annoying. And the concept of midichlorians was sort of like meh, because I always liked the idea of everybody being able to be a Jedi with the right old man telling you could. But for me, I think the thing I'd change the most from that movie is how prominent the Jedi were involved with politics. Just, I'm not going to say the same answer as Corey. I just mean, I wish we would have gotten the Jedi as just a different group of people. more monks, more force concerned. These Jedi that we got in this movie weren't very force concerned. We never saw that element to it. And I think I would have liked to see a prequel movie where we saw sort of like these cool old Jedi again, like Corey said, that we could empathize with, that got wiped out by, and swept up in this big political turmoil, but that weren't so, like, they were basically like the soldiers and bodyguards and politicians. And I just think their role was too much.
It was very muddy. It was they were all things, right? Which is really weird because I guess, by percentages, Jedi were supposed to be pretty rare. There weren't like millions and millions of Jedi. They were a very select group, relatively speaking, in a galaxy of trillions of people. There were probably only a few, 10,000, 20,000 Jedi. On a percentage basis, that's minute. And a lot of people never even came in contact with Jedi. Han Solo never even believed in them, despite having been alive when they're arguably at their peak. So yeah, no, I do see where you're coming from, James. I agree with most of that, if not all of that. That there's a disconnect between, I think, what Lucas wanted us to think about them and what he showed us. And I do agree that at some point I'd like to see them a little more conservative, withdrawn from politics and military service and all that stuff, because they did get roped into it. And I think Lucas did try to hint at that throughout the prequels, that it was against their will, but it wasn't hit on hard enough.
Do you think the audience is meant to feel sorry for them in that regard? Like I don't think he wrote, like, I think he wrote it like that, like, oh, the poor Jedi, like, I don't think he meant it for the fans to be like, look how stupid the Jedi are, like.
Yeah, they made a bunch of choices and took a bunch of actions that didn't make sense. Like you said, Corey, for them to just say, like, yep, you know what, we're going to have to lead this army. Why?
Like, where did it come from?
Who's going to make
that somewhere to start? Why did it happen 10 years ago? Sifo Dyas, we haven't heard of him forever. Like, what's happening? Wait. Let's take a step back here. Let's maybe check if they have some kind of, like, cybernetic implants where they're going to, like, initiate some kind of order.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that whole thing could have been cleaned up. But my official answer to this is sort of something you've been hitting on. The creation of the clone army from Attack of the Clones. I think it's an interesting idea. And if it were treated differently, I think it could have been compelling. But as it's presented, it's a hot mess. It's just so clumsy and confusing. And Sidious, Sifo Dyas, like, you're just inviting confusion. You're kind of messing with your audience, and sometimes directors will do that and writers will do that, but this was seemingly like not the good kind of confusing or ambiguous. It just sort of left you going like, wait, what? I don't understand a thing. Am I not supposed to understand, or am I just dumb? Like, I don't get it.
You know what's funny in that regard? Like with the Clone Wars? Like, as a kid, when you hear that, like, when Leia says, General Kenobi, when my father fought alongside you in the Clone Wars, like, did you not get the idea as a kid that it was clones versus Jedi?
Yeah, that's what I thought. Well, it was, in the end.
In the end, yeah.
But yeah, no, I know what you mean.
Yeah, thinking back, I definitely probably thought that it was somehow Jedi versus clones.
You want to hear something funny? That was so much hardcore in my head canon that I'll have to look it up, but I swear to God, my high school write-up, secondary 5, grade 11 or 12, whatever it is, my grad write-up says that it's something about I called myself something like Commander Starmog, and I was saying that the Jedi are strong and the clones won't beat us, and this and that. That's my high school like sign off.
Wow.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, yeah.
All right,
That's
so
pretty
there you go,
high.
Bradley.
Won't beat us.
Welcome to the knighthood, Bradley. We raise a drink to you, and make yourself some s'mores by the campfire and raise that to yourself. Welcome to
S'mores
the
are hard
knighthood.
for us bearded guys to eat. Although I think he has quite a short mustache. He's not doing the long mustache, but marshmallow's tough, man.
But so good.
But so good.
Oh, so good. Ooh.
Yeah, and needless to say, there's a bunch of stuff that we all could have. We couldn't have done it, but we definitely would have chosen to have been better handled in the prequels. All right, we'll wrap up the show with the return of Katie. So this week, Katie has to say. Katie says, "Who?" Oh my goodness, I have the wrong paper in front of me. Get it together, Kyle. Come on, geez. Hey, I got a question this week for the podcast. Now, we all know of Anakin's tragic fall to the dark side, but if we had a choice to bring anybody else from the light side over to the dark side, who would you choose? I'm basing mine off skill. I would choose Ahsoka. She's an awesome fighter and very deadly with her 2 sabers. It's been pretty hectic, as usual for me, but I am still here and listening. Keep up the awesome work, guys. Still one of my favorite Star Wars podcasts. Thank you very much, Katie. Very, 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 very nice to hear from you again. All right, James. This is a tough question. I struggle with this one. I don't know about you, but who would you take from the light side and flip to the dark side?
All right. Well, hi, Katie, and nice to hear from you. I like this question because it's hard at first because you don't like the idea of most of your heroes going to the other side. Like, it's hard to imagine. Even what she said, like, I'm not a huge fan of Ahsoka just because I'm not as invested in that character as you guys are. But even that, I'm like, I have some resistance to it. My initial response is resistance. Although she'd be an awesome Sith for sure. So I'm going to say, and this, I don't know if this is going to like ruffle some feathers, but too bad. That's my prerogative. I'm going to say I'd like to see Leia.
Ooh.
I'd like to see Leia like dabble with her force sensitivity and some anger over Han's death, maybe.
Hot take.
Yeah, and see her like flex her force sensitivity on the dark side.
Well, that's really interesting because here's somebody who probably has had her life devastated more than anybody else. She's lost her planet, her parents. Oh man, like her husband's killed at one point, but yet, despite knowing her lineage, and she's got a fiery disposition, she seemingly never ever wavers. There doesn't seem to be any temptation on her part to go to that side, to go to that place where she'd consider doing some really bad things. That's wow, that didn't even cross my mind, James. That's a hell of a pick.
Yeah, that's fodder for Kylo's redemption. Like, no, Mama, you won't like it. Please.
It sucks over here.
It's lonely and sad, and I killed Dad.
Mama, no.
Snoke doesn't shower. It's really, really nasty here.
That's why he cut off his own nose.
His skin dandruff is all over the place. Stay away. Well, yeah, I mean, at the end of Jedi, Vader is taunting Luke, who's hiding in the shadows. And he says, if you will not turn to the dark side, perhaps she will. I guess that's a tantalizing thought. Like, bringing Leia to the dark side. Wow. And you're right, James. That probably will ruffle some feathers, but it is certainly interesting to think about. I'm sure at some point in like the expanded universe, now Legend stuff, they probably did that.
They did.
They did?
Yeah.
Cool. How did that play out? Do you know?
I can't remember. I think Luke needed to go to the dark side as well to save her or something. I can't remember. It was so long ago.
Yeah, that's a hell of a take. Corey, what do you got?
It almost seems sacrilegious, when you think about it.
It does, I know.
Certain Jedi, anyhow.
Like Yoda.
Yoda. Think about that. That's like, we have to mull that over. We have to kick that one around at least. Like, an evil, dark side Yoda.
Terrifying.
Palpatine, look out. Like, honestly. Bit of low-hanging fruit. I don't know if you know this guy, James. Kinlan Vos. He kind of reminds... He's like a tracker. He's like the very isolated, secluded kind of Jedi.
Well, wasn't
Almost
he
like,
sort of on that fence anyway?
Yeah, kind of. I'm still not done Dark Disciple, so I don't want to get really spoiled or anything there. But yeah, he walks his own path, kind of. He's still a good guy and all that, but he's a little more hardcore than others. My final answer for shock value and I guess scariness, because that's a big part of it. So I looked through a whole list of Jedi, right? The entire list of Jedi that's in canon. And there are a lot of Jedi that are kind of scary looking. The aliens, there's a lot with, horns and all kinds of stuff that are conducive to being scary in the dark side and whatever. But the one I chose he's such a nice guy, such a cool guy. He found Ahsoka as a baby. And yeah, Plo Koon. Just because, he's got
the breathing mask.
The breathing mask. It's totally conducive to being a Darth. Just the voice. Then again, the fall of Kinlan, or Plo Koon would have been like, oh man, seriously? Like, like it would have been a great loss, because he was such a cool, nice guy. And he'd be pretty scary. I
guess I attack the question differently, because I don't think a Jedi Master goes to the dark side. I don't know if Dooku was a Jedi Master or just still a knight.
What about Krell?
Yeah, Krell kind of went to the dark side, I guess.
Dooku?
But I don't think anybody who sits on the council was going dark.
Didn't Dooku sit on the council?
I don't know. Did he?
Pretty sure.
I have no clue. Is it? I guess it's a bit easy to say. I want to see Ezra go. Because we've already halfway been down that road, I think.
Yeah, they dabbled already.
And I with 15 episodes coming in season 4, I don't think there's really time to do that again. And there's no buddy really to coerce him to go down that road unless Vader's going to play a big role again, which I don't think is happening. But I stayed with Rebels, and although not a Jedi, wouldn't it be cool to see Sabine do a flip-flop?
Yeah, that would be cool. She'd make a good bad guy.
She returns to her people, she takes over, and she makes the Mandalorians bad again like they once were.
With the dark saber?
Yeah. Maybe she carries the dark saber, but for evil purposes, or maybe selfish Mandalorian purposes. But I think that would be
gut wrenching.
Well, yeah. I mean, like James said, like whenever you see one of the good guys go bad, it's always sort of a gut punch. But I think doing that, turning Sabine bad, gives you a cool villain, a really cool, skilled villain, but also puts a really tough army at her disposal. And
I like how you're loopholing Katie's question here.
Yeah, I'm just looking for an alternate way to tackle it.
You don't say.
I'm trying to loophole your accusations here. Well, who else? Like, what other Jedi are there? I mean, there's a bunch of younglings, right? I mean, Barriss Offee went bad. I don't know any of the really young Padawans, the ones that did that like circus thing with Hondo and his crew.
Rey.
Rey?
Nobody said Rey.
I can't even.
Nah.
I can't even. No, I can't even entertain the thought.
I can. I just don't think at this point that they're, because the shitstorm that will follow, I don't think they'll go down that route. But you know, they dabbled even in TFA. Like, she was on the brink. It's not an easy thing for a Jedi to cope with their anger, or anyone for that matter.
Well, again, I've said it a million times. She's gonna flirt with it, but I will be shocked if they make her bad. I'll be absolutely shocked. Even if they brought her back, I would still be shocked. Anybody else?
That I'd like to see go? Well, we
Like
sort of
to
said-
see or just makes sense.
Yeah, we
Like-
sort of said that it would be crazy to see Yoda go, but isn't there a story arc where he had to face like the evil version of himself? Like in
Yes.
some sort of trials or something?
Yes.
Yeah, that's season 6 that never aired on TV. I think was Clone Wars.
Yeah, that's all part of all the stuff
Qui-Gon.
wrapped into Qui-Gon Force ghosting, and yeah, that's a pretty brain melting arc right there in season 6. I think it's like 3 or 4 episodes. It's pretty dense, and they get to a lot of stuff. But you're right, James. He does fight a bad version of himself, and it's pretty terrifying. So Katie, there you go. How do you like that? Welcome back to the fold. Hope things, we all have these hectic lives, but I hope some normalcy returns for you soon. And that is it, folks. Before we draw the show to a close, we'd just like to ask you to take 2 minutes to leave us an iTunes review, which I think now is called Apple Podcasts, just like Riley Devano did. So Riley left us a 5-star review, very short and sweet, but just the way we like it. Awesome show. Just found you guys, and I'm hooked. Love the show. I'd recommend it to anyone. And Riley, interestingly enough, he reached out to us on Twitter. He came to us through the Rogue Squadron podcast. So thanks to you guys for making that connection
Awesome.
happen. Yeah.
Thanks,
super
Riley,
awesome.
man.
Riley.
Don't be a stranger. Fire up that Twitter machine. Throw us a couple tweets. Let us know what you think of the show. And yeah, man, welcome to the fold. And thank you again.
Let Corey get one of your questions wrong. Send one in so Corey can botch one for you.
Yeah, brilliant.
Oh, geez. All right. And again, that's the end of episode 87. Man, we're motoring along here. Again, James, thank you so much for all that you've done for the show. It's incalculable the effect that you've had on us here. So, sincerely, thank you. We'll find a way to find you some sweet parting gifts.
Yeah, I think I know what Kyle's talking about too, and I just want to say I love you, Matt Keegan. And no, honestly though, James, I'm on the same page. Kyle, to be honest, it's kind of a bit heartbreaking. I don't want to say it like that, but bro, you'll be back. I know you will be. Just take your time, do what you got to do, and like again, door's always open. And if you ever have a free night, then
Yeah, you guys are going to be. You're not going anywhere, and by the time I'm ready to come back to you, you're going to be too big for me. But no, look, you're not going to get rid of me super easily. I'll send in questions. I'll be listening, and hopefully in a few months from now, I'm in a much different situation, and we'll talk.
Cool. That sounds
we'll
like a plan.
renegotiate the contract.
This is all a ploy for more money, Corey.
There we go.
It's pretty smart. It's pretty smart. Imagine the kind of balls I'll have Kyle in now. Kyle, I need to renegotiate my contract now.
Oh, really?
Smoke meat times 2.
Oh, really? All right. We'll see about that.
Kyle's like, I love you, Matt Keegan.
Yeah, seriously. I do, buddy.
Yeah, I know. Everybody loves Matt Keegan. Okay, that is it, guys. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Let us know what you think. And fire James a tweet. Say hello and goodbye and all that stuff. And you know what? We have another show coming this week, but I don't know what it's going to be. It'll be a neat surprise for all of us. Present company included, I should say. So have a great week. And whether it's Sith Disturbers or Journals of the Willing, I don't yet know, but we'll speak to you then.
Self-redeeming qualities, have they hindered me? Hindering, was I blind to see that you needed me? All of me, well, you were there for me. I will be there too, watching, listening, every moment, wanting all of you. And I believe I can save you. Just don't let me go. And I can see I'll be waiting, always waiting. Just don't let me go. Just don't let me go. Time goes on and I'm questioning all the things I've seen, crazy things I've seen as I'm watching you walking away from